Welcome, everybody, to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm excited about this topic for today. And I'm going to do something a little different, and that's that I'm taking a clip from a class that I taught today because, boy, oh boy, one of my clients teed me up perfectly by asking me about fear. Can you talk to me about fear? All kinds of fears that she's experiencing. And, at the Heal Your Hunger show and in my programs, we talk about the real stuff, the emotions that underlie emotional eating. So I was doing that today. She teed me up. I went to town. Then I thought, you know what? This is good stuff. So I thought I'd share it with you as well, give you a little sneak peek into one of my classes where I'm just spitballing and letting spirit guide me. So this is an off the cuff answer to somebody's question about fear, and I thought I would share. I also want to invite you, before we get into that, to take the quiz on the website healyourhunger.com. That's my website, healyourhunger.com. And on that website is a quiz that'll tell you if you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. If you don't know where you stand on the emotional eating spectrum, it's really good to find out. Take the quiz, takes a couple minutes, and get your personalized score, and then next steps for what to do about it. And it's going to be incredibly informative and help you understand yourself better, because we think we just like food, but there's more to it than that. So dig in, learn more about emotional eating and how you can truly heal. And lastly, I want to invite you to be a part of the Secret Sauce group. That's the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. We're on Facebook. Love to have you join us there as well. Okay, on with the show. So, you guys, as you know from the book and as you know from the program, fearfulness is one of our deals, right? Fearfulness is one of the personality traits of an emotional eater. And I'd say it's like the biggest one. Like, seriously, it's like the biggest trait that we have is fear. I'll just tell you from my experience, I was always afraid. Like, I grew up afraid. And it was fairly inexplicable because I had a pretty safe home, as homes go, and I've heard about a lot of homes, in my many years. And my parents did a really good job of making it safe. It wasn't totally safe. I had sexual abuse, right, from a relative, so it wasn't totally safe. But my parents did the best they could to make me feel safe, and I'm super grateful for that. I've been very blessed. And it didn't matter because I was still terrified. Like, I was terrified. I was one of those kids who walked into my bedroom and I looked in the closet to make sure there wasn't a boogeyman there. I was looking under the bed, behind the door. Like, I just was so afraid someone was going to jump out and murder me. Like, I was just terrified, and I was terrified in social situations. I still am. I just invited Coach Kim, to go with me somewhere tomorrow night because I'm like, I'm intimidated. I don't want to go by myself. Will you come with me? I'm afraid to go on my own, but who cares? At least I know this, right? At least I know this. And at least I asked for help. That's the deal. I'm not unafraid anymore. I just am better sourced. Like, I know to ask for help and I don't have shame about it. Fear runs deep for emotional eaters. And for those of you who have read Dr. Jones' book, 90 Seconds to a Life You Love, she has a different take on fear. She calls it vulnerability. And I totally get that because it is a vulnerability, but I still call it fear. But you talked about feeling unsafe, and that is vulnerability. And you talked about new experiences. If you want to dig into it, it is a feeling of being vulnerable. And so I think that's an important thing to look at. As you feel unsafe, you feel unsure, right? And you feel like you don't have your footing and like you're going to be caught off guard, right? All these things. And these are things you can write about. Really important to dig into it. Like, why does having guests in my house feel scary for me? Like, what is that about? What am I afraid of? And you guys, when you write Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And then when you write, whenever you write, why am I afraid? And then spill all the fears. Spill them out. I'm afraid that I'm going to look bad. Afraid that I'm going to make a mistake. I'm afraid somebody's going to be mad at me. These are my usual ones. Like the fears are totally irrational, but they run the show if we don't put them on paper. If we don't put them on paper, they're running around our brain and they are in control. Okay, so that's why we put them on paper, because if they're just in our brain, they're running the show. They are calling the shots. Writing is so powerful. Anytime you don't know what to write about, write your fears down in any given situation. So writing fears down is so good because you can see how, first of all, how much fear runs our life. Fears are like the Norton antivirus in the back of our computer. They're just running in the back of our brain. There's just like a constant stream of scary thoughts that are pretty ridiculous when you look at them on paper. That's why putting them on paper is good. They're big and scary in our head. On paper, we're like, oh, really? Like, seriously? Like, really? Right? They become ridiculous when we put them on paper. So rat them out. Rat them out by putting them on paper so you get perspective on them. They're big and scary when they're in our heads. When they're on paper, they diminish in size. It's just like the bully. The bully is big and scary when he's chasing us home from school. But if you turn around and pop him in the mouth, then he's like he's whimpering and slinking away. Look at the Wizard of Oz, right? Big and scary, but he's a little man behind the screen. So that's how it is with fear. When you put it on paper, you can see it. It's not so big and scary. And uncertainty is scary because we're not in control. So a lot of times that's what we're afraid of, is we're afraid of being out of control. And that's a big fear for us, a fear of being out of control. And the truth is we aren't in control. We're never in control. As much as we try to be in control, you know, I think Allison, it was you who asked that one time about you're always thinking ahead of possible scenarios, right? Like all the possible bad things that could happen so I can cover the bases, so I can figure out how to fix them all. Like I'm like, whoa, that is intense. Like that was really perceptive for one thing, to realize you're doing that, right? To realize that's how your brain is working, and then to see how exhausting living that way is. Yeah, searching horizon for danger. It's like, whoa, that's a big job. That is a big job. You're gonna need a lot of fuel for that much output. You need heavy, hot fuel for that much output. I call that awfulizing, clearing away the wreckage of the future. And I don't have that kind of energy. I don't have that kind of energy, and I don't want to eat for that kind of energy. So that's the thing, is we're never really in control. There are things in the future that may happen that we may not have answers for. And this is where, faith in a higher power comes in, because I'm a lot less afraid now that I've got practice depending on God. I've got to depend on a power greater than myself. And it doesn't have to be God with a G. It doesn't have to be that. You can call it higher power, spirit, divine energy, universe. You call it what feels good to you, so long as you start depending on it. Call it goodness, the power of goodness, you guys. I believe goodness is just a fact. Anything that's off of goodness is fear, basically. I believe love is the natural order of things. Goodness is the natural order of things. So pray to good. It doesn't have to be God, pray to good. But the point is, faith in good, or faith in God, is what we need to lessen our fear. And I'm not nearly as afraid as I used to be. Like I have a faith that it's going to work out. Like it's just going to work out. And that's my spirituality. that has come to my rescue and has rescued me from fear. I don't have to be in control anymore because I know God's got me. I know it's going to work out. I don't know how it's going to work out. And that's where living with the uncertainty of not knowing, but put your faith in a higher power. It's going to work out. Just know it's going to work out. Has it worked out so far? Yeah. Have you had what you needed? Yeah. So far, so good. Right? So far, so good. We're all here. We're all like trying to work on ourselves. Like I'd say things are good, right? You're eating healthier. Things are pretty damn good. Like it's not all bad. So we have to remember that because our brain takes off and goes to scary places. And that's why we meditate, you guys. Meditation can help calm our brain, our scary, off-lising brain. When you meditate, when you take 20 minutes, first of all, that takes faith because you're affirming that for 20 minutes, you don't have to be in control, right? You're just going to let go and be. That's good practice for us. And I promise you, let God do the heavy lifting. Let God figure out the details. You do not have to figure it out. So what Roy used to say, which I loved, he said, we're in the action business. God is in the results business. We take the action and we let go of the results. Okay, that's the deal. You take the action. You take the next indicated step. You have new experiences coming up. That seems to be the next indicated step, right? Like it's in front of you. Like trust that if you do what's in front of you to do, God will take care of the results. You take the action, God takes care of the results. Be in the action business, get out of the results business. Okay, that was so powerful for me. It's like you take the action, let it go. And he used to say, he said this so many times. God, I miss him, you guys. Oh! So he used to say, take the dice, you give it a good shake, and you give it a good roll, and you let go. Like you give it a shake, and then you let go. Like you don't hang on to the dice, right? You give it a good shake, a good throw, and let go. And the dice are going to be what they're going to be. But that's the key. We have to let go. Let go and let God. All right, there you go. Great question. Thank you. The best stuff comes to me when I'm on this call, you guys. It's like, it's the flow. It's beautiful. It's God. If you're ready to get off the dieting roller coaster ride and finally make peace with food and with your body, talk to a Heal Your Hunger mentor about what steps you need to take based on your own history with food and weight. Go to healyourhunger.com and register for an emotional eating breakthrough session and see how fast you can experience real change. It's a complimentary evaluation, but there are limited spots available. So go to healyourhunger.com and register to speak with a mentor today.